Welcome in to the Bills Chat halftime show. I am Josh McCarty. The Bills lead the Jaguars by a score of 10-7 at halftime, as I am trying to pull up the box score right now. What a chaotic, strange, frustrating end of half that was. And I think the McChronicle speaks for all of us is ball don't lie. Boy, would that have been a frustrating way to end a half going in at 10-10 with the sequence of events starting with the Brandon Cooks bobble of the ball and then leading to a great punt by the Bills, which got the Jaguars down to basically their 1-inch line, and then they drive down with no timeouts, and thanks to what I would say is some assistance from the referees, they get into field goal range, very makeable field goal range for Cam Little, but he ultimately misses it. Now look, it's the playoffs. They're right now, I would say, the bounces are not going the Bills' way. I mean, they do have an interception on the day, but there's been several tip passes that look like they could have been intercepted. The calls, this happens in the playoffs too. It's one reason why you don't want to be on the road in the playoffs. The calls seem to be favoring the home team. There was a blatant hold on one of the first explosive runs on Travis Etienne on the right side of the Bills' defensive line. And then I still think, and I see McChronicle and Stokes talking about it in chat, I still think Brandon Cooks caught the ball. Now, look, you lose a lot of benefit of the doubt with the referees when you bobble it as you're going to the ground. You need to secure that ball, so there's no question. You're wide open. And, if you want to make your comment here about why Brandon Cooks is in that position position for the Bills, and not anybody else, you can talk about that with Brandon Bean, but he still needs to make that catch. But I didn't see anything that made it look like that ball hit the ground. But Bills had a chance to double dip at the end of the half. They did not. And we go in at 10-7, but the Bills get the ball. I'm going to start with the good. The good, as East Melissa's in chat, very much love seeing her here. Stokes, McChronicle in chat. We got a full house tonight. That catch was overruled by New York. Thank you, Roy Collins. And then they ruled Myers a catch, but not that unbelievable. What I would say from the positive side of things, one of my biggest keys to the game was I think McDermott needs to win the coaching battle here. It's a first time head coach in the playoffs for Liam Cohen. It's only the second time he's called plays in a playoff game. The other time being the Buccaneers Commanders game last year. And so far, I do think McDermott is having a very strong day. He did have the challenge that led to the Bills getting the stop on fourth down. And along with that, his defense held in a spot where I think the game could have been blown wide open after that Ray Davis fumble on the kick return. And so I give Sean McDermott credit for that. The next drive, I give McDermott credit for calling a timeout that would have saved his offense a delay of game because, like it or not, the offense seems out of sorts right now. They're taking false start penalties, they're taking holding penalties, and they don't look like they are fully in sync, which is why I don't fully mind the Bills punting in that situation at the end of the half because I did feel like no matter what, you have to find a way to get this game to halftime with a lead and the ball. And ultimately, the Bills defense and the refs made that situation way closer than we thought it needed to be. We've seen Cam Little make kicks much longer than that all season long. But luckily for the Bills, that one did not go in. This is playoff football. Now, for the bad, the Jaguars are having a ton of success running the ball. Right now, if you look at it, if I'm stalling, Byshell Tootin has 5 carries for 51 yards, averaging 12.8 yards per carry. And then Travis Etienne has 3 carries for 22 yards, averaging 7.3. Trevor Lawrence has added another 3 for 29. That's the bad news. But the good news is, for reasons that only you and I can guess at, after a drive where the Jaguars went through the Bills defense running the ball like a hot knife through butter, they decided to go pass heavy again. And thank you very much. The Bills secondary has Trevor Lawrence confused. The pass rush is doing enough to make confusion up front. You're seeing delayed blitzes from the Bills. They're not committing which four to five players are coming. And there's a lot of confusion on the back end, which is leading to some of these mistakes. Lawrence does not look comfortable. But man, every time the Jaguars drop back to throw, I feel like we should say thank you, particularly with Parker Washington having left this game with a concussion. Trey Williams says, I heard Shavers was surrounded by athletic trainers and went to the locker room. Is he out? I heard Poyer may be out. Is he playing? So, two different questions there. Shavers is questionable to return. He did go to the locker room early. That would be a massive loss because he is having a fantastic day in run blocking. And he also had a big catch there. That would be a tough, tough loss that maybe wouldn't show up necessarily in the box score from a catches perspective. But yeah, and then Jordan Poyer did missed the last drive. Jordan Hancock was in for him. We'll see where that goes as we go on here. But Poyer was out on the last drive. My guy Costa in chat, coverage has been great, which is leading to the pressure. I agree, and that really has been the theme for the Bills all season long. Even when Bosa and Rousseau are out there, even with the Jaguars playing with a backup left tackle in Walker Little, the coverage is what leads to the sacks. And the Bills just are not one of those teams that gets instant pressure or has guys that just win immediately. You need the coverage on the back, and you need the front end and the back end of the defense to be synced up, and they have been today. But I do think, and you always want to have a two-score lead in any football game, but I think today especially, it feels like the Jaguars are not a team that's comfortable committing to the run game. They definitely are at their best when they're making explosive plays in the passing game. If you can get a two-score lead on them, I think that would play right into the Bills' hands and kind of get them out of that running game that so far is gashing the Bills. I need some play action calls for Josh to get Kincaid and Knox going. I agree with that, Sam. I expected more out of Kincaid to this point in the game. It's funny when Josh Allen released that seam throw that ultimately fell incomplete to Brandon Cooks. I was thinking Kincaid was going to be on the receiving end for it until the camera panned over to Cooks. But I do think there's some meat on the bone there for Kincaid and Knox in the passing game. I will say, let's take a look at what James Cook's numbers are, because one of my biggest keys to the game coming into it was the Bills have to be able to run the Jaguars out of their base nickel defense. So far, not a great day rushing. James Cook has 9 for 31. He's the only running back with a carry at this point, as Frank Gore Jr. has one catch, and then I thought Ray Davis had a catch as well, but maybe I'm not remembering correctly. But what you're seeing from the Jaguars is not only are they an extremely athletic defense, but they are a great tackling defense. And you saw that on one running play when James Cook tried to cut it back. And I know if you're watching on TV like I was, you're probably screaming, no, go north and south. Why are you losing yards? But that's James Cook one-on-one in the open field against a defensive end. And if he makes him miss, he's got tons of daylight. The problem is that defensive end is Trayvon Walker. He was the first pick in the draft for a reason. He made a fantastic play, and he got James Cook to the ground and ultimately got the Bills to 2nd and 10. Shaq Thompson came to play, one interception, made the key stop on 4th down on Trevor Lawrence, had another near interception. I continue to feel like Shaq Thompson is one of the two best linebackers on the Bills, and that does include, obviously, with Matt Milano playing at a much higher level as of late, looking like vintage Matt Milano. So I do think, regardless of what Terrell Bernard's health status is for next week, if the Bills are lucky enough to be there, if I'm lucky enough to be doing this halftime show, I would like to see Shaq Thompson and Matt Milano continue to be the Bills' primary linebackers. So what's the key in the second half? Well, one, can we have no more Josh Allen injury scares? He's already gotten checked out for a concussion. He banged his finger off the helmet, and then somehow he avoided tearing his ACL when his leg twisted around on that touchdown. We need 17 healthy, not just for today, but hopefully for 3 more games after this. He is taking a massive, massive beating. The Bills need to find a way to get a two-score lead. Then they can lean more into their running game. They don't feel comfortable to me on offense, but I think, like I mentioned before, McDermott's defense is definitely doing their job, but the offense is going to have to put up more points, obviously, than 10. It goes unsung how bad Trevor Lawrence has played. He has about 3 dropped interceptions. Yeah, he does not look comfortable back there. It feels like he's playing with really slow eyes too, Trey. It feels like he's dropping back and just almost waiting for receivers to get open versus anticipating that they're going to be open. And yeah, in the NFL, those windows close like that. So we'll see what happens. Well, obviously, as a Bills fan, you love to see it. I love to see it. But right now, my thoughts are with the offense. I don't need the defense to shut out the Jaguars or hold them even under 20 points. What they've done so far is fantastic, but now Offense, go out there and win the day. This is not the '85 Bears. This is not the 2000 Ravens. They are a fast, young defense, but there are matchups out there you can win. I need the offense to come out with a strong drive to begin the second half and get this game to 2 scores. We're going to let Sam have the final word here. Was hoping Brady was going to open the playbook more with these screen passes. I'm so over, especially since the Jags can tackle. There was one screen that went well, man. It was Shavers blocking his guy basically into oblivion, and then Shakir went down. But I agree, this is not the best defense to be running screens on. It is interesting to me that the Bills seem like that they like the toss plays against this defense with as fast as they are. But you got to keep in mind the Bills' offensive linemen are rare. They can get to the second level. They're athletic, and they are making some hay in the toss game. We'll see for it. Stokes wants to know what I have gone for it for 4th and 4. That's a great call, Stokes. It was a 50-50 call to me. The biggest priority was getting into half without the lead with the lead. And I felt like if you don't get it there, that was the Jaguars' only chance of getting in field goal range. Little did I know they would get the ball on their 1-inch line and still basically drive down. So I guess in retrospect, you probably should have gone for it. But at the moment, I didn't mind it the way the defense is playing. I didn't want to do anything to give Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars any momentum. And luckily, Little missed the kick. So what's next for Bills chat? Hopefully, I'll be back next week for the Bills' second round playoff matchup. I so much adore being on these halftime shows. And then Luca and I will be back tomorrow on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, anywhere you can hear Bills chat post game. Whether the Bills win or lose, we'll be here to break down all things Bills Jags. And if there is a game next week, please let there be a game next week. We'll be live on Wednesday night to talk about what's the Bills' upcoming matchup. So I am Josh McCarty. Enjoy the second half. Go Bills and go get that first road playoff win since 1992. Excellent news from East Malise that Shavers has been cleared to return. I will hopefully talk to you all next week on the Bills Chat halftime show.